Welcome back to Cabin View Ventures. Today we are talking about zero-turn mowers. We're talking about zero-turn mowers because right now I'm mowing about twice a week. It has been so hot and humid. We get rain almost every day. So we live in Pennsylvania, but it really feels like we live in Florida right now. The humidity has been super high for the last 2 weeks. So with all this humidity and rain, the grass is growing insanely fast right now. So we are on a 2-week mow schedule, or a twice a week mow schedule. So I figured this would be a good time to talk about zero-turn mowers. I'm gonna, in particular, talk about the one behind me. This is the Hustler Fastrak. So it's my first zero-turn. We're gonna mow first, and then I'm gonna tell you a little bit about this particular zero-turn mower, why I picked this one, and why I think it's a good pick for a lot of homeowners that have some property. All right, we're done mowing. Get these out. AirPod Pros. These are really, really good at noise canceling. So we're all done. I wanted to mow a little bit first because I wanted you to see some of the hills I do so I can explain them a little bit. And one of the reasons I went with this mower. All right, so here's the machine I went with, the Hustler Fastrak. This is Hustler's light commercial duty, but I really think it's more of a, you know, heavy duty homeowner, we'll call it, or heavy duty residential. I highly doubt there's any commercial guys that run these things. They're going to want something with a slightly more robust hydro and bigger motor. But this machine for residential use, I think is absolutely perfect. If you have a property that has hills, steep slopes, I think you want to go with, you know, at least something this size. What drew me to this over their top of the line residential machine, which is the Raptor XDX, this has the 3200 hydros versus the 3100. Not a huge difference, but you know, a slightly bigger, heavier duty axle with the 3200 hydros. It's got the roll bars, and one of the biggest things that attracted me to it is the wider rear track. So when you go from residential to commercial line, this has a 3-inch wider track than the Raptor XDX. The Raptor has a 48.5-inch rear track width. This has a 51.5-inch. So 3 inches makes a huge difference when you're on slopes. It's one of the reasons I wanted to show you guys some mowing footage first so you can see some of the slopes that I cut. I don't have a big property. I don't have a lot of acreage. You know, I mow about 1.5 acres total, which is plenty for just a regular residential zero-turn mower. But the slopes and the hills are what kind of pushed me into the light commercial duty for these zero turns. This Fastrak has the 54-inch deck. You can also go with a 48 or 60-inch deck. The 3200 hydros are a really nice upgrade for, we'll call it a heavy-duty residential machine. And then it also gets the light commercial Kawasaki. So this has the FT 691V. There's an FR, which is the residential line, and then they have the FX, which is the commercial line. So the FT is kind of their light duty commercial. Just has a bigger air filtration system. These FT 691s are rated at 22 horsepower. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but trust me, it is plenty. These Kawasaki's, they must be really torquey in motors compared to the horsepower they put out, because up and down the big slopes I have, you know, I'm mowing at full throttle. Even in the grass I just cut was pretty tall. I mean, it was plenty of power to mow through that. Another nice thing with this Fastrak is you have easy access to the hydro fluid levels. So you've got the reservoirs right there. So easy, quick way to check on your hydraulic fluid. And you've got, let's see if I can do this with one hand. Oh, that seat is heavy. You've got really good access when you flip the seat up to the battery, the hydro fans, the top of the mower deck. It makes it really easy to clean these out. You have dual fuel tanks, 8.5 gallons total, so each tank is a little over 4 gallons. You've got the tank selector switch on the side, which is really nice, instead of it being behind you. So easy way to switch fuel tanks. And then you've got 2 USB ports if you need to charge your phone while you're mowing. And then you also have nice gauges right next to you as well. Now I've got a total of, let's get you this way, 11.2 hours on this machine. So I think I have enough time on it now that I can give you a pretty good rundown of how I feel about this. I've had absolutely no problems with it. It's been a really good mower. It's handled the hills no problem. I'll try to explain some of the slopes I was on, because I know it's really hard to tell on video, but everything right around the house. So yeah, if you can see, you know, this slope here and then this one right up here, you know, they are both about 24 degrees. So I just mow them straight up and down. They're not wide enough to mow horizontally anyway. The slope out front is 18 degrees. So that's the one that you see me mowing, you know, horizontally. And I'm comfortable doing it that way. I've always mowed it like that with my garden tractor. Now, going from a garden tractor to a zero-turn is like night and day. So this is my first year mowing with a zero-turn, so I'm taking it kind of slow, trying to get a good feel for it, and making sure I stay safe doing it, because one of the worst feelings is when you lose control of one of these things, because there's no way to recover it. Once you lose that front end, it just slides, wherever it wants to go. So, really important that you take that stuff slow and just get a good feel for it. But those are the slopes I have, and one of the main reasons I went with this machine, something that has a wider track, a roll bar, and the more heavy duty hydros that have a little more power to them to really help you out on those slopes. The only slight disappointment has been these big bite tires. This is a Hustler design, and they don't have very good traction, so you have to be a little careful where you go with this, making sure you're not pointed even slightly downhill. If you're trying to turn, these tires do not grab at all. They've been okay with the side bite, and I think these big side lugs really help. So you've got one that kind of pokes out, the next one has an in cut, the next one out, so similar to like a mud tire on a truck. I think those help a little bit with the side bite, because that front hill that I mowed, that hill averages 18 degrees, and I cut that slow, and I try to keep the nose of the machine kind of angled up a little bit, so if I do feel any slip, I can try to correct it as fast as I can. But that'll probably be something I'll upgrade in the future. I see a lot of you'll see a lot of the commercial machines go with the Grassmasters. They seem to get really good traction, so that might be a nice upgrade for this machine at some time down the line. But I really think this is the perfect heavy duty residential machine for any of you guys or girls out there that have rural properties where it's kind of hilly, you have steep slopes. I think this is just a safer way to go over a residential machine, and then not spending full-blown commercial money, because those machines can get really expensive. I mean, a lot of those are well over 10 grand, where I got this machine for $7,500. The model down from this, the Raptor XDX, that comes in at about $6,500. So for $1,000 more, this was a really easy decision to make for me. One of the main reasons I went with Hustler, I wasn't really out looking for a Hustler. It's not like it was a dream zero-turn mower of mine or one I've been researching for a long time. I ended up going with Hustler because I really like the dealer that sells them. They are actually an equipment rental dealer, Best Line, that is close to me. I've been working with them for years, back to when before I built my house. And during the time I was building my house, I rented a lot of equipment from them, like high lifts and track loaders, things like that. They're a steel dealer. I've bought almost all my steel equipment from them. So all my interactions have been really good. They are a Hustler and Bobcat zero-turn dealer, which is the main reason I went with this brand over any of the other big ones like Exmark or any of those brands, because there's actually a dealer right down the street from them that sells Exmark, Skag, Toro, all the other big brand zero-turns. But having a good dealer that I know is going to help out when I need them and is easy to work with is one of the biggest factors I put into any of the equipment I buy. My Kubota tractor, my side-by-side, this zero-turn. You know, I want a good dealer that I know is going to be there and is going to help out if I ever do have a problem, because, you know, stuff happens. That's just life. So if you're in the market for, we'll just call it a heavy-duty residential zero-turn mower, this is a really good option. The 3200 hydros are really nice to have on those slopes. They really help. I think they really help with keeping that traction, just because of the amount of power you have to each wheel is very beneficial when you're mowing hills and steep slopes. The Kawasaki FT motors are really good. This has a nice heavy duty deck. I think it's a 10 gauge. It's either an 11 or 10 gauge fabricated deck. So, you know, that thing's going to last you forever. So the important stuff, the hydros, the motor, the fabricated decks. It's got a nice air suspension seat. So, you know, it's a nice comfortable ride. Easy access to everything that needs service or cleaned out. And I really like the fact that it has the dual fuel tanks on it as well, so you can just fill them both up and you've got a lot of hours of mowing that you can go through. So if you guys have any questions or comments, you know, please put them in the comment section below. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Hit that like button, and we'll see you next time.